Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Mad Science Lab on the Fantasy Football Universe, where I am your host, Aaron St. Dennis, in the other room getting myself a Mountain Dew because I ran out. But you can follow me everywhere at FF Mad Scientist, backed by popular demand for his second team in the series. We have Jesse Moeller at jmoeller05. Last time he did Seahawks, I believe. This time we are here to talking Vegas Raiders. Yippee skippy.
Let's go, baby. Let's go, Raiders. Yeah, it's an interesting team to talk about just in general because the QB uncertainty and all the fun stuff with it, right? So we can just hop right in the quarterbacks if you want and talk about all that fun shenanigans that the offense is going to be. With Antonio Pierce, they're going to be on a lot more slower pace. So you're not going to see like this high-pace offense. We're not going to have a lot of plays. So it's interesting depending on how you view AOC versus Gardner Minshew. I think Minshew's just a better quarterback. That's not saying much because he's a lower-tier quarterback. But overall, he can kind of do what you need him to do. We saw it last year with Indianapolis. He was able to run the scheme efficient enough where they were in contention for the playoffs. Now, can they do that? I think that more or less depends on the back half of the defense. Like, if the defense lives up to what they were last year, I think they can. But that's asking a lot for, like, a second-year coach to move past, be all the fun stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see how it works out for all of these guys on offense.
It's funny because I originally had this one down as AOC as the starter, but everything I've heard out of training camp, and I get it, training camp doesn't typically mean shit, but everything I've heard is that Gardner Minshew's the guy. So I've slowly been going with Gardner Minshew. I've had a couple of leagues. I think we did a dynasty league where I punted QB and I got stuck just pairing both of them, hoping for them as my quarterback 3. So pretty much in every league where I have one, I drafted both because I have no confidence here, but they're both going as, like I said, QB 33, QB 34. You like Minshew, you said? What do you think?
I think he's just a better
20 upside, top 25.
If he hits around touchdowns, maybe top 20. Like, I think he can get there. It's really hard for him. Like, even with what he was doing last year, they were running an insane play rate in Indianapolis, and he gave you, 12 points per game? Like, might have been actually 10 points per game. Not sure, but it was low blower. So it's going to be worse this year for him. It's just not there. It's just the difference between him and AOC is Telesco loves veterans. This is why he spent a ton of money this offseason making the new GM for the Raiders. He went out and picked out his guy because he could have gone with AOC. He's like, no, let's go pay Gardner. They brought Gardner in, so they're going to give him every opportunity because that wasn't nothing money they gave him. Like, it was still a decent contract. So I think they're going to try to make him be Gardner. If he fails, it'll be AOC. So it'll be fun.
This thing on our site is driving me fucking nuts, and I don't know what it is. It's been coming up the last few days. It's some kind of analytics tool I have to reconfigure, and I'm not sure what the hell it is, but I can't get the stupid thing off my screen during the previews, and you can see it, hey? This little access. Driving me
you basically have to go in unsigned. Yeah, that's pain in the butt, yeah.
Anyways, let's just ignore that for now. Running back room. Zamir White is the RB1, presumed, going off the board at 22. That's a bit high for my liking. Backed up by Alexander Madison, who I've taken a few shots of because he's going as RB65. The pass-catching specialist, rookie Dylan Lobby, and Amir Abdullah, who was, where was he, the Lions? I feel like he went somewhere else.
He's been a few places. Yeah, Lions, he was with the Raiders. He's been around. What
are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think we are overdrafting Zamir White based off a 4-game stretch against the worst defense in the league last year. It's a small sample size trap. That is what is one of the worst things we do in fantasy football because he was good in 4 games. We're going to extrapolate that over the course of the season. I think White's going to get about 50 to 55% of the carries if I was doing projections. That's going to give him right around 200 carries, and then maybe he gets 40 targets. So if he does that, 240 total opportunities, he needs to be really efficient to be a difference maker. And it's hard in this offense unless he's going to dominate touches. So he needs to take all the work. And I just don't see that. We didn't project that from Zamir White. He wasn't pass catching back coming out. So it's just really hard. And then you have Alexander Madison, who I know was awful last year. He can do stuff for you and be consistent. And then they have Dylan Lobby, who's a pass catching specialist on top of it too. So I just don't see a way where Zamir White hits that ADP. I think that's more like his ceiling than his floor for me. So personally, I think we're overdrafting. So I'm fading Zamir White this year.
All right, moving along to an equally unimpressive wide receiver room. I know you're a Devontae Adams guy. He's going as wide receiver 9 overall. Backed up here by Jacoby Myers, Michael Gallup, who retired after, 1 day of practice. So that hasn't been updated. Trey Tucker, Jalen Guyton, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, thoughts on this room? It is ugly, and it's getting uglier the further down I read. Horrifying.
Yeah. It's not terrible, like, because it really depends how you feel about Adams and Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers is a quality NFL wide receiver. Devontae Adams is still one of the better NFL wide receivers. And then you have Trey Tucker, who's going to be the deep threat in this offense. He's going to be the specialist when they need big plays. He's the guy they turn to because he's also going to be their return specialist too. So he's going to be a kind of a jack of all trades for them. He's going to be the guy that can take the top off the defense because I know they did that with Adams the last couple of years where they're pushing him downfield. It's just really hard with these quarterbacks they have. Like, they had this issue with Carr previously. They have this issue with Minshew. They're probably going to have this issue with AOC when he plays. They're just not super accurate, and they cannot be trusted. So if you're pushing your best player downfield, similar to Chris Olave with the Saints, it creates issues because it's going to be frustrating. It's going to be up and down. So bringing Adams more to the middle of the field, I think works really well. And you can run your offense through him, and that'll get to the other part of the tight ends when we get there. But, like, Adams is by far the best wide receiver on this team. Like, it's not really close. And he was super frustrated. If you watch the documentary, the receiver documentary on Netflix, you could see – like, he was not happy with what was going on last year. So they're going to try and fix it. They brought in Pierce to try to shift things and make it work. So we'll see. But if you do projections, he's going to come out like near the top of the league in targets, like yards, all that fun stuff. It's just, can he hit the ceiling with Gardner Minshew and AOC? I don't know. Like, Pittman did pretty good last year, and I think Adams is a better wide receiver. So I think worst case, you get a top 20 wide receiver. If he hits his ceiling, he moves into that top like 5'10". We'll see. But I'm just still betting on the talent one more time for Adams. I know it might burn me, but he's been one of my favorite wide receivers the past like 5 years.
So far, the only two players I'm interested in this team are both going significantly higher than I want to invest. And I think that's going to continue on to the tight ends because I don't really want to pay tight end 12 price for Bowers either. Brock Bowers, the rookie, backed up by Michael Mayer, the second-year guy, Harrison Bryant, Cole Fotheringham, and Zach Gentry. I don't want any player on this entire roster is basically what my summary is. What are your thoughts here on the tight ends?
The Brock Bowers argument is the same thing we did with Kyle Pitts these last couple of years. It's like you're just buying talent and you're not worried about situation. So you're just investing in an extremely talented player who's quite possibly like the best tight end prospect we've really ever seen. If you look at production and all that fun stuff, he still went like top 12 in the draft. Like, he got the capital, he got everything we want. And the news is coming out, like, they're moving him all over the field. So they're going to try to put him in the slot. They're going to put him out wide. They're going to do all these things to set him up. I think if you're drafting him at like tight end 12, it's really not like, it's not a big bet to make on him to do that because he feels like the last guy who can give you that 100 targets, be the number 2 option on offense. It just depends if he can take over for Jacoby Myers. Considering he's a rookie, I don't know if it's possible, but I don't mind taking the bet on him because, like, as fun as Michael Mayer was, like, he's just going to be the decoy blocker for them now, which is, it's really weird. But basically, if you think of like Mike Gesicki's a big slot, that's how I'm kind of going to view Brock Bowers in this offense. He's going to play the big slot role more than anything else. So if he's on the field running all the routes, it will be possible for him to hit that. I just don't know if he gets the ceiling. So I'm okay betting on him if you want to do it. But yeah, I like the other options going in front of him just because the floor with him feels lower than those guys. So it just seems like a riskier bet. Similar to Adam, same thing. Like, you're just betting on talent in this offense. So if you want to do it, go ahead. But the floor is kind of low with these guys, unfortunately.
All right. On this star-studded roster, 1 target and 1 avoid based on their current cost.
Zamir White is a massive fade for me. Like, I have 0 Zamir White shares. Like, that's the one guy I'm like, no thank you, no thank you, no thank you. And then the guy I'm buying is Devontae Adams. I'm willing to risk it on Devontae Adams. I just think he's an extremely talented wide receiver. He's going to be heavily fed targets, so I know he's going to get volume unlike Zamir White. I don't trust it, so Adams is the guy I'm buying.
All right, let's talk schedule here. I'll tell you the game. You tell me win or loss. So we started out week 1 at the Chargers.
I'm going to give them a loss, actually, week 1.
All right, week 2 at Baltimore. Loss.
Another loss.
Week 3, home to the Panthers.
They get a win against the Panthers.
Ooh, boy. Week 4, home to the Browns, where they get another loss. Sorry. Was that a win or a loss for you?
It's a loss. It's a loss. Yeah, it's a loss. Yeah.
Week 5 at Denver.
They're going to beat Denver.
Ooh, I like it. Week 6, hosting the Steelers.
There's going to be a lot of losses coming up on this schedule for them. This is a loss.
All right. Week 7, hosting the Rams.
Loss.
All right. Week 8, hosting the Chiefs.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Kermit Mahomes is going to be quite frustrated. He's going to take it out.
I seen. He's not pleased. I do not. Whatever the spread is, I'm taking the over on KC because that one's going to be a fucking mess. But all right, week 9 at Cincy.
Loss.
All right, so you have them going into week 10 bye at 2-7. Coming out week 11 at Miami.
I'm going to give them a surprising win here. Like, this is one of those, like, you see these games every once in a while where teams play above their weight class like that. They're going to come off the bye, revitalized. They might be rolling out AOC in that game. I expect them to actually give Miami a game and win that one.
Week 12, hosting the Broncos.
They're sweeping Denver.
Oh, my God. How bad is Denver, if that's true? Oh, Lord. All right, week 13, they are not sweeping the Chiefs at Tennessee. They will be getting swept by the Chiefs. All right, no argument there. Week 14 at Tampa.
Yeah, that's a loss.
That is a loss. Week 15, hosting the Falcons.
I'm going to give them a loss versus the Falcons. I think the Falcons are too good for them. And that it's just a bad matchup for them is the way I look at it.
Week 16, hosting the Jags.
They are going to get one of their last wins, and actually probably their last win of the year.
That's not true.
I know. I see who they play.
Hey, sorry, week 16, did you say win or loss against the Jags?
We'll give them a win, yeah.
All right, 5-10. Week 17 at New Orleans. Oh, it's in New Orleans. Never mind. I'm a Saints fan, and I was counting that as a Saints loss, but it's in New Orleans, so probably the Saints win it.
Yeah, you give them the Saints win. It's fun.
Yeah, okay. I misread that. I thought it was at home, and I said, fucking New Orleans is terrible. Tune in tomorrow for our New Orleans Saints preview. And they close it out. Week 18, home to the Chargers.
They're going to win that last game. Yeah.
Wow, it's not as bad as I thought. Did you have them? Oh, no, sir, you have them losing here against New Orleans. I wrote it in as a win. That's it. So that's 5-11. You have them going 6-11? 6-11. Not as bad as I would have expected.
Yeah, I think their roster's not terrible. It's just like it's really hard.
Good.
No, it's not the worst roster. It's like one of those rosters where they're gonna be like 8th in the draft is like how I expect it to go. So like right in that record schedule.
All right, so a 6-11 Raiders team. That concludes a wonderful round of Raiders talk where the theme for me is fucking avoid everyone on this roster. So check back tomorrow where we conclude the series, me and Jesse once again for one of my two teams. Yesterday was the Lions. Tomorrow is the Saints. I'm so excited to preview the Saints because they're bad. All right, thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.